All right, welcome back to Rita, Ready, Set, Go. Today I'm coming to you with a movie review. That's my kind of my lane right now, especially looking at the arts or content that is off the beaten path. Specifically independent films or those films dealing specifically with based on cultures. So if it's the African American films or films directly with a particular culture, I'm all about it. And I also love character studies and slow burns. And this is exactly what this movie is. I'm reviewing All Day and a Night that was streamed off of Netflix. What I've noticed is with this particular film, it is a character study and a slow burn. So if you're not one of those individuals who do not like movies that are kind of just about the overall evolution of a character, this is not for you. However, if you like the idea of kind of getting behind the socio, social, and anthropological conscious mindsets and decision making that takes place amongst individuals who are in socioeconomic come from socioeconomic economic backgrounds that creates a cyclical my braces a cyclical cycle of disruptive behaviors and erroneous decision making. This would be a film for you. It does what Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood at the time weren't able to do. It looks specifically at the kind of the mental shifts and mental unraveling of an individual who can see the cycle and see that it's not the best cycle for him, but doesn't necessarily know how to identify resources in order to get off the wheel or the Ferris wheel of destructive behaviors. We're joined by Ashton Saunders, who plays the main character, and Jeffrey Wright, who plays his dad. Joe Robert Cole is both the writer and director of this particular film. What I enjoyed is you have two actors that are typically, to me, very underrated. Who, when coming together, I just had to see it for myself. Ashton Saunders, initially, when I saw him in Moonlight, I was very intrigued by his acting ability. But then I saw The Native Son, and I didn't do the correlation between the two because apparently he has aged since Moonlight, so I didn't pick it up initially until I did some further research and saw that the main character of Native Son was also the young man who played in Moonlight and now is playing in All Day and a Night. He has found his lane. And when something is working, definitely keep moving down that path. At the same time, I am curious to know if he had to play a character that was, because all of the characters that he's played has all been very intellectual and been very reflective and internal, and they internalize everything, and he's able to convey that through his acting. However, I would love to know what's going to happen. How will his character, how will his, when he moves forward with acting, how will that look as he goes across different types of genres of movie and film? And then you pair that with Jeffrey Wright. And when I initially saw him in, because I did see one promo for this, I think I seen a commercial after one of my films had finished playing when I was on Netflix. I saw it and I thought it was OG at first, which is a film that Jeffrey Wright played in, I think in 2018. And I was like, is this OG? And then I looked again, I was like, it's not. So I was like, how? Because it looked very similar. I was like, how is he going to play this role coming off of OG? Is he going to be able to differentiate the characters? And he did do a great job of that because we got to see a lot of backstory. And also the dialect was different. However, I do think both of the characters, I'm not going to say Ashton as much, but I do think Jeffrey Wright over-embellished and over-emphasized that he was in Oakland through his dialect sometimes. Not a bad thing because Jeffrey is one of my most underrated actors of all time. He's in my top 5, easy. But I did feel that he, at times, it was the dialect was hard to get down sometimes in certain words that he said. However, then I'm on the fence because I think it was necessary because he was playing a character who lived a very Russian roulette type of life. So for what that's worth, I can understand the over embellishment and communication skills. So the basis of the movie is the movie starts, and I'm gonna go right with what this description says. It says a young man who committed a homicide deals with the repercussions of his actions, and that's the whole beginning. He makes a decision to shoot someone in cold. It looked like cold blood, and he did it executioner style. And when he was taken to court, he didn't even mutter a word of why he did it. And even the judge and stuff was like, you don't have nothing to say. You don't want to say anything to the victim's mothers. You don't want to have any type of last say on this. You're going to throw your whole life away without ever giving a reason why. He never told the judge or anybody why. And so then it moves forward with him actually going to prison, and that's where the nuts and bolts of this particular movie come into play. So then we look at the fact that one of the particular scenes that I remember is when he's talking to his mother through the call screen, and she's just talking to him about, me and your father loved you, so on and so forth. And he says, Mama, just stop. I'm not in here because of anything you did wrong. Reason why I'm in here is up in here with me. And he was referring to his father. When he said that, that's when I knew this was going to be more introspective, because the fact that he rationalized and was able to say, this is the reason why I'm in here is because of the dealings that I had growing up. And that not a lot of movies, I don't think there's any, have allowed an individual to be able to identify the reason why they make the decisions that they made. The main problem with, and it wasn't even a problem, but the main thing that I noticed with this movie is that the young man didn't know. The young man could identify what was going on, but he didn't know how to get off the cyclical cycle. And what that means is, like, if you subscribe to the idea of generational curses, then it was very much apparent that his dad was everything of a generational curse. He began, the son, which is Ashton, began to follow in his dad's footsteps, but only because he wanted to be not like his dad. And then he was able to identify, hey, something's wrong here. But by the time it was identified, it was all just too late. And I'm not going to do it. I was going to do a spoiler alert, but I'm not going to do a spoiler alert. But anyway, moving forward, this was a great film. Very good, very introspective. Some of the reviews said it was a lot of gratuitous violence. I did not agree. I think the violence that was taking place added to the context of the story. I've seen films with a lot of gratuitous violence, and this was not it. What else do I think? Do I think you should watch the film? Absolutely. What would I give it? I would give it a 3.5, 4 stars out of 5. There was some slight issues to me with some of the transitioning of the film. Some of the parts drew off too long. Some parts were just too short. And some of the cuts and splices that were made were just kind of abrupt or dragged a bit. So it was always this kind of give and take with the actual nature of the film. Would I say that this brought me into the environment of film? Absolutely. I knew I was in Oakland, California. Did this give me any raw emotions? A whole lot of them. It made me think about the way in which we move. Do you move as an individual who's so say you want to be the archetype, so polar opposite of your parent that you forget who you are? And I'll give you an example. If your dad or your mom like peanut butter and jelly, and you don't want to be like them so much that you hate peanut butter jelly sandwiches, but you might even like them, but because you don't want to be like your parent, you're doing the thing, you're going in the complete opposite direction. So you're sacrificing a piece of yourself. This movie explores that subconsciously, if you're that type of reflective person. So with that being said, it's definitely worth a watch. And it's definitely a deep dive. It would be a great character study for individuals who want to teach by film. So if you're a teacher, you can definitely look. If you're like a social work teacher or anything dealing with those type of fields or industries, this would be great for the classroom, especially in criminal justice, because it gives you a look at what happens over generations when it comes to not being able to get off the cycle of destructive and pathological behavior produced by the lack of socioeconomic resources. All right, that was a mouthful. All right, I'm out. Thank you so much for checking out Rita Ready, Set, Go, and I hope you come back soon. Bye-bye.